Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 5 of the EU University Rocket League podcast. I said Rocket League, I mean Rocket League, and we've had one hell of a week, really. We have, as you may know, there's been a fair bit of controversy, which clearly happened because we were talking about CRL and their controversy last week, so clearly it's come to bite us up the backside, and we'll touch on that. But I'll update you immediately. Of course, we have our 6 teams for championship bracket in NSE. We had our NUEL, we had our EUR, but we've got our 6 championship bracket teams, and hopefully you can see that there on your screen. We had Kiel topping the standings, Bournemouth following them in second. You had UEA, Loughborough Lions, Portsmouth Paladins, and Salford sneaking in 6th due to particular underperformance from Warwick, who were heading into week 4, and we'll get to them. But I want to talk about Kiel because we find them at the top of the standings.
Well, we can see in week 4 they got a 3-0 sweep over Durham B, 3-2 versus UWE, and then I think probably the most surprising result, especially since Bournemouth. We all know for the start of the season on Tuesday we're still technically at full strength in big quotation marks. We'll get to that later, but they'd swept Bournemouth, which is something I don't think any team has done this season. They're definitely showing off that they are a very worthy team to be on top, I think.
That sweep over Bournemouth, of course, they were not using a sub for that series. Whether or not they had much to play for is another thing, and I'm sure they have said that they were just chilling, they were just vibing. I mean, they did lose the top spot because of it. Of course, both teams on 44 points, but because of that last week, Kiel winning the tiebreaker, and of course, that's very good for Kiel. Very successful in NSE. They're not playing NUEL, so we can't mention that. And while they were going to play the EUR Winter Cup, but Vex, I think what happened there? Because I first saw the bracket, of course, Kiel were top seed for the EUR Winter Cup, except they didn't play, did they?
So I think K3 had some issues with his internet, so unfortunately meant that Kiel had to withdraw. It actually opened up the bracket quite considerably for a Loughborough side, who otherwise might not have made the final, and ended up winning the tournament.
Well, that's very good news for UK Rocket League. Wasn't great news for Kiel, but still certainly a very good performance there in that week 4 that we will focus on week 4 NSE. We noticed that Time Constant, actually, massive credit to him, was top for assists in week 4. 1.18 assists per game. That's quite a lot, really. And so great stuff for Kiel. Although there was a team that didn't really have some great stuff, and that was Warwick, who they were the only team. I mean, they came into week 4. They were in 5th. Everyone pretty much comfortably predicted them to make championship bracket, and yet they managed to be the only team to sort of slip out of it, finishing on 36 points. Not the most ideal week, right?
Yeah, definitely not. I mean, they obviously, I think round 1 got swept by UEA, who had a very, very strong week 4, but again, come to that later. Lost also in game 5 to Birmingham, which is, I mean, after round 1 loss like that, you definitely do not want to lose into another team.
Well, and this is Birmingham without Tris, so obviously they have Crown instead, so it's perhaps not as strong.
I mean, to be fair, like Birmingham had a pretty good week. I don't know, maybe the mentality was strong, but it certainly clearly couldn't have been for Warwick, because that game 5 loss has pretty much crippled their season.
But they do, still take a 3-0 victory against their B team, which, I mean...
Oh, nice. I mean, I don't even think they played that. I think the B team forfeited after like 1 game or something.
Oh. It was we aren't going to have a repeat of last year where Warwick B... Was it Warwick B that made it into the Nationals?
Yeah.
Instead of Warwick A?
I don't quite
beating
know.
them.
Some crazy... So there's always been some strange stuff with the Warwick B team. Warwick failing to make the championship bracket, though, for the first time in a long time, and that's not great for them, because the team that held on to that 6th spot on 37 points, it was Salford Lions. And, I mean, they certainly haven't been convincing recently, but enough to hold on, huh? I mean, how was their week 4, Vex?
Actually, I don't think their week went so well. They were beaten 3-1 by Salford, Beaten 3-1 by Essex even. Salford
I
beaten
can't believe
themselves.
Salford lost to Salford.
Yeah,
like that.
technically they got in their own heads and they beat each other. That is what happened. But no, they basically just were saved by Warwick's implosion. Realistically, they didn't do too much, and they haven't for a while. And then actually, I think they played with Aaron and Deadly Soul in EUR. However, they did lose 3-0 to Kit.
No, I kept an eye on that series against Kit. It was very strange, of course, because ever since that eventful week 1 for Salford, and when they came flying out the doors with Jiggy and Arson, and that was the last time in that what was week 2 that they actually beat one of the other championship bracket teams. So in terms of their predictions, I feel like it's quite hard to justify Salford's run in the championship bracket. That was back when they beat UEA in round 3 of week 2. They actually haven't beaten any other of the championship bracket competitions since then. And then suddenly Camo and Aaron were playing together in EUR. I was like rubbing my eyes and checking my glasses like, sorry, what? And then, as be honest, that series against Kit was respectably competitive. It was 3-0, but it's harsh to say that Kit dominated it. It was actually a pretty good series. I didn't think I was going to see Aaron and Camo playing together again, certainly not that soon. I don't know if that's a sign of what to come or if that was just the players that they had available on the day and that they were willing to put the past aside, shall we say. I'm not quite sure. I'd be curious on what happens in that respect. But in terms of the playoffs, of course, that was huge for Salford, that 3-0 win over Nottingham in their final round, because whilst it looked like late going into the week that Essex and UWE could make a run for the playoffs, after 2 rounds, it actually seemed like only 3 teams could make playoffs, and everything sort of rode on that Warwick-Nottingham series, because the door was flung open after they lost to Essex in round 1. But if Salford didn't beat Nottingham in the final game, then either Warwick or, of course, Lancers could make it. And I just want to point out that you guys did think I was crazy for saying Lancers would make it on the previous episode. Just want to say that you were all quaking in your boots at how possible it might have been. Of course, Lancers, they ended up not being able to get it anyway because they did lose to UEA in their final game. And what a series that could have been. There was many 2-goal leads thrown. But it would have been Warwick that took the spot should Salford have lost. But they did comfortably beat Nottingham 3-0 and hold their nerve. Although probably worthy giving a shout out to Nottingham. They did sweep Portsmouth in round 1, and that's how everything got a bit messy, of course. I don't know how that happened, but it's okay because we do have a clip here of maybe how they did it. Of course, this was in the Lancers game, but Cheggers, he was clearly playing very well, wasn't he, Hemi?
Yeah, so on your screen is now, I'll probably just chuck it up. We have, I think it's the game here between Lancers A and Nottingham.
This is day 3 Cheggers, right?
This is day 3 Cheggers. So the Cheggers, Moonat Field, films onto the backboard. DMAC, very, very slow shot. And Cheggers, into his own net, jumps down and completely misses the slowest ball in Rocket League history.
Yeah,
37 kilometers an hour, misses that save. That's
clearly you can see how Portsmouth were swept with that in round 1 of week 4. Understandable,
yeah, of course.
Really. Nottingham showing up big with a 3-0. Definitely exciting for them going challenger bracket though. But like I was mentioning, that other team that sadly couldn't make it to the season, and it kind of feels like such a shame, doesn't it, Vex? It was Essex. They couldn't quite make it to top 6.
It is a shame, actually, because I feel Essex probably more deserving of that final 6th spot than Salford, probably shown by the 3-1 win over them in the actual week. Plus, they've beaten other top-tier teams like UEA in the previous week. Essex look really strong. They've got George Birkin, who obviously used to be a pretty big name, and they've been killing it. Switch was 3rd in goals this week. George Burke was 2nd in saves this week. Admittedly, there might have been some stat padding against the mighty Bath in final round 3.
Mighty.
Yeah, the mighty Bath Ducks.
The mighty Bath Salts. Yep.
Yep.
Apparently, well, I say apparently, I know there was because I was playing it. I was lagging and maybe not there for a couple maps, but we let Switch bang in some goals, so that's how he's got his 3rd this week. You're welcome. But no, I think Essex very deserving of the top bracket. Shame they left it so late. And if they just got any of 10-point weeks that I predicted, they'd have been there.
Wow. they will find themselves also in the Challenger bracket. And I don't know about you guys, but I am very excited about this Challenger bracket. I mean, I want to tab over to your predictions. I was scrolling over most predictions, but to be honest, I feel like my favourite predictions are that of Madge, who seems to be allergic to best of 7. Thank you all who put your predictions in, of course, apart from Madge, who is probably sat there wondering why the teams wouldn't move on in the bracket. Sorry, mate, they are best of 7s, therefore one of the teams has to have 4 games. Did you guys figure that one out? Did you put 4 games? Yeah, it does look like you
It
did.
is explicitly stated in the round each time, so yeah.
I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I obviously have Lancashire taking the Challenger bracket as they're clearly that good. Doesn't matter if they lost in NUEL to Warwick and Staffs. I've actually got them sweeping Staffs 4-0 in the final after Staffs beat Warwick in the semi-finals, although I did kind of want to beat Nottingham to beat Warwick, but I don't know. Cheggers' gameplay has been a little bit questionable, as we may have just seen.
So in the land of a real vote, we should probably address that Lancers don't have Aaron this week for playoffs as well.
That's true. They played with Aqua in NUEL, and as you can see, they did really well. They did lose both best of 7s, and that is why they're going to show up big in Challenger bracket playoffs. No,
No, I don't think so.
no?
Particularly.
Okay,
No.
all right. I mean, that's just,
Do you see?
that's just
Well,
uncalled for.
realistically, we'll ask Kemi this because, of course, Steve is biased. If
Right.
Birmingham make it, which is the expected trend from most predictions, do you think Birmingham beat Lancers without Aaron?
We're gonna
I
have
think
that
there's a good
series on stream.
chance. Yeah, we are going to have that series on stream, which will be
Fine.
definitely why it's an interesting and exciting one. I think there's if I remember correctly, either week 4 or week 3, UOB did very well against a few teams, and I might be speaking up, mate.
Yeah, I mean, E4 was really good for Birmingham. I mean, they really threw the spanner in the works by beating Warwick in Game 5. I will
This
point
is
out that
weird.
both of you have Badgers winning that series against Lancers 4-2, which is strange because I have them winning it 4-3. But we do all agree that Bath are going to lose in Game 7 to Essex.
I think, to be honest, this is what I said. I hated to predict it, but I think Orange County are probably, like we said, deserve to be in that championship bracket, and I think they're the strongest team in the Challenger bracket. If, by some means, Bath somehow beat Orange County, we're definitely going to win the whole bracket, because, like we
Yeah.
said, Orange County definitely the strongest team in this.
I
So
feel like they're
I
the most
couldn't predict
informed
myself.
team. I don't know if I believe they're the strongest team. I still think Warwick are the strongest team and could be could and should have been very much in championship bracket, but they're just underperforming, and it's just a fact of the matter right now. And Essex
to be honest, in
seem to
a
be.
controversial opinion as well, I've got Durham beating Warwick.
Oh my goodness!
I
But
think
how can
Durham
you
might
have Durham
pop.
beating Nottingham?
Of course, easy.
You've seen Nottingham's week 4.
No,
It's mad.
I feel that
You've seen
Durham
the
might
save.
just have one of their weeks where they just pop off, because obviously they have an unreal team with Zouch, Mordisha and Will, and it just hasn't clicked this season.
It's true.
Who knows, it could just click in playoffs.
Also, I have found why I was thinking Badgers are a very likely team to go through. In week 4, we have them beating Warwick and UWE.
UWE as well, yeah. Oh, that's it.
Yeah, so they're definitely a team who could, on the day, bring some heat. So I definitely think they have a good chance
Shag.
against.
My
Bring
problem
the
with
heat.
that is, I think, in terms of like UWE in those last games, for a lot of teams as well, it's hard to read into some of the results, because obviously when there's not a lot to play for, sometimes you take it lesser. It's not taking anything away from anything any team did, but when your positions are basically secured, sometimes I think some teams take it a little more liberally.
Yeah. That's fair. I mean, so who do you have winning the Challenger bracket? Hold on, let me get onto your tabs. Oh, that's interesting. Of course, you both have Orange County winning.
It's mostly just because they beat Bath.
I mean, Vex,
we
yeah,
have
like
to
you
make them
say,
good.
Vex, you do have Durham making it all the way to the winners' final. I just think that the Challenger bracket is just really cool. I mean, forget the Championship bracket. We can do our predictions for that later. But the Challenger bracket is just better.
Challenger twist.
I think it could go one of many different ways. Like, if one team turns up, like we had Staffs who popped and they beat a lot of good teams. Like, there are so
Yeah.
many teams capable of playing at their finest, taking down every other team here.
Yeah. I mean, sadly for them, just missing out on the Challenger playoffs was Warwick B and South Africa Save a Menu. and like Royal Bears, like Royal Holloway. You also got teams like Brighton and Lincoln and Kent and Sussex. I think both Sussex teams maybe in the third division playoffs. Which, to be fair, we can have a look at as well, as I think you've done your predictions for those. We have now this is crazy because we've got the format where like some teams have a 1 round bye, and then like Southampton and Bristol, and Warwick B and Royal Holloway have a 2 round bye. Crazy! Like there's like a massive bus going across my screen right now with all these teams. Depends how much. Do I have anyone making a mad run? I have Scousey boys doing quite well. Is that a common theme, or am I just going crazy?
I have Scousey boys in the final as well.
Oh my goodness! I had them losing in the semis out to Brighton. Where does Hemi have them?
I think.
I see.
Let me throw some respect on the name.
I very much think Kent's a very good team.
Yeah, Kent.
Obviously, because they beat us in qualifying, so I need them to look good.
I see. So basically, if you want to be good on Hemi's predictions, all you have to do is beat Bath, of course.
No,
that would be
Bath
Sillet
third
Bath.
team.
Yeah, Sillet Bath, the third team.
Sillet Bath.
I can respect that. I think we're also going to have that Kent game on stream. Of course, Sussex Silvertips could beat Scouts E-Boys. None of us have predicted it. But the winner of Scouts E-Boys against Sussex Silvertips, we will have on stream against Kent, and that should be another great game. And these stream games are going to be so damn good. So good, in fact, that you should probably just not play your games and watch the stream instead, because I think they're going to be mad. BCU looked pretty cool.
I don't have any games anyways, so that's fine.
That's that. Yeah, that's fair enough. BCU did look quite cool. We have them. Hemi has Bournemouth Red beating BCU Blue. Respect that.
I mean, they did get to Nats, Bournemouth Red. Still a very strong team. A top Nats, I think, wasn't it?
Did BCU as well, though.
That's true. I mean, sorry for Bristol, really. I mean, I think we all have Brighton beating Bristol.
I think the problem is Bristol obviously have been very good this season. I think it's just Ferrell is actually no. I've got Bristol beating Brighton. Have that. I think Ferrell is just capable of destroying any team on his day.
I mean, we do have some stats from week 4 showing for overall performance MVP, we have Ferrell as number 1.
Yeah, look at his goals per game. It's not very human, is it?
It's 2 goals per game for those of you who are unaware.
I think that's the record of like any week so far this season. 2 goals a game. That's
yeah,
it's pretty wild.
If he's drunk his monster, if he's done his cat, he'll be there one day.
Overall stats. Oh my goodness, his performance is so far and above any other player. Of course, Brighton, at the end of the day, they've found themselves in that third division playoffs. Maybe this isn't the way that they succeed as a team. Certainly, it's showing up Ferrell massively on the stats, but could say maybe he's overcompensating. So massive credit to him to putting up such massive numbers, but who knows? He could just be stealing all his teammates' boosts, and he's clearly bad vibes with it all. But his performances, performance rating, say roughly the average performance rating is something a bit like 0.9-ish. And you've got, of course, big Bournemouth contenders Cloud and Wilbur at 1.15 and 1.12 performance, respectively. Those are second and third. Yet Ferrell, he's on 1.27, which is his completely own continent at the top of the performance tables there. That's over the entirety of his 50 games played in NSE League play, which is actually one of the highest numbers. I think only Nottingham Trent have played more games than that. They've got their time and hours in. Roofy with 52 games, although Kent Aliame 53 games. Wow, sorry, I'm just really curious. I've not noticed it. Aliame has played the most games of any player in NSE League play, so credit to her, I guess. Clearly, that means Kent are going to do very well in the playoffs. The most practiced team. Maybe I'll have to update my predictions.
See, it's all coming back.
It's all coming back. You're right. Third division playoffs. I have Royal Bears actually clutching up and beating Southampton in the semi-finals, where they actually beat Brighton in the finals. That's how my predictions go.
I can't give Royal Bears another win because if either you are unaware,
because they've not beat Bath.
No, it's because the British University sim racing stuff goes on.
Oh my goodness!
And the entire thing is just Royal Holloway. all the like mods and stuff, because they are a very active sim racing community, and so obviously they are very good drivers and they keep just winning and being very good. So I can't give them more stuff. I'm gonna I'm gonna get him out as soon as I can.
Luckily, I can, and I've got Royal Bears winning.
Oh. Okay. I'll take
that's
that.
a shame because Southampton, they got Eddie, top saver in week 4, 2.54 saves a game.
Royal Holloway lads, prove me wrong. Prove me wrong. Go win it. Yeah.
I mean, I hope so. I've got big hopes for Holloway. I'm
Also,
looking forward.
notably, we always talk about Eddie as one of the top players, but I think Dark Suns also had a very, very good season for Southampton saver menu. I think actually doing pretty well in those overall statistics for the season. So they have got a couple notable players now, just putting in a bit of work.
Of course, it will be today as you're listening to this to find out just how well these teams will do. But of course, there is one topic that, of course, everyone is certainly waiting on us to comment on. Okay, and of course, what you were waiting for us to talk about is NUEL. And I mean, the first thing I want to talk about in NUEL is UEA. They're looking pretty good, Vex, right?
Yeah, they're looking very strong in NUEL. With a 3-0 over Warwick, a 3... Well, actually, that was NSE. I'm chatting.
This is NSE, right? Yeah.
Chatting shit. But they're through to the upper final in NUEL, actually, because they 4-1 Sussex, and it's a strong Sussex side. They're putting out Diston. I think it's I'm Private and Fisk. TJX might be in there somewhere. And they also beat UWE 4-2, so it's a very strong showing from them this week.
I mean, they're in the winners' final, up against Loughborough, the team seemingly of NUEL. But I mean, it's certainly good for UEA because I feel like mid-season they were sort of sliding a bit in their form. Of course, maybe Queen Scots had other responsibilities in terms of the royalty and the royal family itself. But it's kind of well, they were looking a little bit off in the middle of the season. But I don't know, as you say, a good week in NSE as well. Saw them get 15 points, put them strong in the standings, sitting up nice and happy in third there. 41 points, but clearly that has transferred over to NUEL and just they're clearly having a good time. And yeah, beating UWE 4-2 is certainly what they'd be wanting to do, but also beating Sussex Sharks 4-1, as you mentioned, that strong Sussex team. I mean, I guess it was to do with availability, right, Hemi? But how do you feel like the Sussex team might have done? Of course, they haven't done amazingly here, right? But if they were full strength in NSE as well,
I think. Wasn't it? I think they did get into nationals briefly. Yeah. It was a week 2, week 3, one of the earlier weeks, and I was with Chinny.
Yes.
This is all very foggy.
They had a wild game on stream where they lost 7-0 first game, but then still took Lincoln to game 5. It was very strange.
Yeah. So I mean, it's definitely a sort of thing of, they definitely feel like they're more sort of enjoying themselves in NSE. And then obviously they've sent out basically their best team just to try and get through NUEL. Maybe seeing it as more of an opportunity since some of the better teams from NSE aren't participating, namely Bournemouth. I don't think Portsmouth's in there either. I don't see Kiel here.
Yeah,
obviously ended up top of the thing. So definitely, it definitely seems like because of the less stacked nature of this, at least this NUEL season. They may have tried to aim for that instead of an NSE, maybe thinking they better chance.
I'm just curious for if they'd have been able to play with that roster all season in NSE, maybe they'd have got more practice with it. Maybe you could have seen another contender for that championship bracket even, but clearly the results, nothing too impressive despite the strong roster as well. Vex was defending Durham, and Durham actually knocked out Sussex in the lower bracket in Game 7. Is this clearly the Durham that you're expecting to destroy in the challenger bracket, Vex? I mean, they did lose 4-1 to UWE, but they're going to meet Warwick in lowers after Warwick played a little bit more like they should. They lost in Game 7 in uppers to Loughborough, but are Durham going to eliminate Warwick here in lowers?
Yeah, we're definitely going to sit. No, I'm not sure. I'm just saying Durham have the capacity to go very, very large. We've obviously seen this season they've not found that consistency and what they showed in that pre-season tournament. I think they've got the capacity to do it, and I think it's worth touching on with the Sussex. Maybe it's down to playtime together, just because we said we don't see this roster in NSE, so it's probably one of the first times they've actually played together. When you've got the likes of UEA, who are playing together constantly in IEL, like they just made for top 4. but got swept in a semi. Like, they're playing together a lot, and should more teams do it? Probably yes. It is a lot of Rocket League though, so maybe that could explain why UEA burnt out mid-season, because they're playing NUEL, NSE and IEL a couple times a week. But
it's
no,
I
like think
it's like being an actual team though. It's clearly showing good for them, as they are probably one of the most informed teams in the league right now, maybe alongside Kiel and Essex. Of course, Essex did miss out, as we mentioned. I just want to point out that you do have Durham beating Warwick in your predictions. It's more like a Durham-Warwick varsity right now, as they play each other in the Challenger bracket, potentially, if Durham can beat Nottingham. And that would be the second time they play them. If they then have to play them in NUEL as well. It's going to be a 1-1. Okay,
Warwick take
one, one's going to take the other.
Warwick take NUEL, Durham take NSE.
I'm still trying to digest. Of course, Warwick decided to show up. They managed to defeat Lancers playing with Aqua. And then Lancers, the sportsmen that they are, did actually lose to Game 7 against Staffs in lowers. Is Staffs back? Have Staffs cancelled their being cancelled? Like, are they back? Because I do have them making it quite deep, and by quite deep I mean literally the grand final of the Challenger bracket, or is that me being a bit strange?
They got taken to Game 7 by Lancers of all people, so I don't think that's quite on par
this is
with
uncalled for criticism. I'm just going to walk out the door. This is too many negative vibes. I mean, this is a Lancers with Aqua, a pretty unknown quantity, and clearly going to pop off and win the Challenger bracket.
You say this, but SAP Aqua is an SSL in ones. Obviously, that's not quite been put into threes yet, but probably has potential to be the best player on the Lancers team, being an SSL in ones.
Yeah, which is why they're clearly going to win Challenger bracket, because they've clearly not won this NUEL bracket, as it was Staffs who move on to, of course, play UWE for the 1000th time. I feel like these teams are probably sick of each other. Don't know who's going to take that one, but they'll play the winner of the Warwick-Durham game. But I feel like, again, the two favourites for the tournament have to be Loughborough and UEA, unless Warwick can start playing like the team they probably should have been.
It's an interesting one with Warwick, because they just still don't seem to have got. In my head, it's the play style, right? Because obviously we know Warwick is this amazing defensive team, and I'm still not sure where Treefolk fits into that. Because Treefolk's obviously a wonderful player, but he's a very attacking threat. So it's still, I think, just trying to figure out how what they have to do to work in a system where they can work with what he brings.
Yeah. Do we know if there's a bracket reset for NUEL?
I think there is.
Yeah, I mean, that'd be pretty wild if we can have a final like that.
Yeah, that would be, bracket reset would be cool. I don't know if there's a bracket reset. Probably.
I mean, you can see on the actual bracket, you get to, round... It says round 4. That's basically just the grand final. If it goes from loser round 4 up to then that's the grand final, I'm guessing.
I think that is a bracket.
Then there's no second one there, so it might just be advantage to the winner of Loughborough.
Maybe.
So
that pretty much concludes our NUEL section. I'm hoping to keep an eye on that bracket. And I don't know. I feel like UEA can maybe, if UEA keep up this form, I actually kind of back them. But of course, Loughborough do look strong, and we should certainly talk about Loughborough, as they, had a little bit of an interesting performance in the EUR Winter Cup.
Loughborough actually, they won the Winter Cup 1 EUR, and we saw the first, all of the countries competing for the first time. We had some big teams in there, like Sampdoria. I'm just trying to remember. We had Kit. We had one of the Berlin sides, obviously not Tigray and Anagflow, but we had a couple of them. We had some of the Dutch teams. Unfortunately, I think the Fair Play, or what was known as Fair Play Groningen, had to forfeit halfway through. But we did see some strong showings from a lot of them, including there was the 20 sides, which both A and B team ended up playing each other in the second round, which was quite amusing.
Did the B team win? No. Well, actually it says blue and red. I assume the A team won. They won 6-0 in game 1 anyway.
Yeah.
But no, that's a pretty stacked bracket. Bath, of course, credit you guys. You did make it all the way to Loughborough.
Playing with a sub as well. That's a shout out to Mighty Chin Bingle.
It ended up being a bit of a strange lopsided bracket due to, of course, Theo not being able to play because of K3's internet. Sapienza Roma is a hot team coming in. They have Lindo and Bongo, but credit to Basilisk Berlin, who probably completely overshadowed by the Berlin we know. But they're still one of the best teams in Germany, really, probably top 4. Although they did take it, they can then get to Game 5 by University of Birmingham Beavers, who were playing with Tris, so credit to them. And they didn't manage to do so great in the semis. Of course, Loughborough took Game 1 against them, and then, well, their internet just sort of died. So I don't know what was going on in EUR Winter Cup and why so many people's internet were dying, but Loughborough seemed to take advantage of that and get to the final based off it. Of course, Bournemouth, who we'll touch on even more, were playing with Honours, and they did have a competitive series with Kit, so credit to them, but Kit did come out 3-1. And then we have that grand finals, which I'm sure you guys saw on stream, and well, what a grand finals that was. It was pretty insane in that we thought Loughborough were just going to get swept, to be honest. Kit were just the better team twice in a row and went 2-0 up, and then stuff just sort of started happening, and well, Loughborough decided to reverse sweep, and then after a tense 0-0 Game 5, actually Crimson scores the winner in overtime for just to put the cherry on top of a ridiculous cake of a series. It was fantastic, really, and despite Kit having a player on their team, which of course has a lot of controversy around them, but at the end of the day, Unileague are a different body, and we don't have anyone on their team to sort of come onto this broadcast and sort of, well, defend or attempt to defend their decision. Of course, we have our own controversy that we should also talk about.
I think it's also worth noting real quick that Loughborough were also playing with Tom instead of their usual question mark. Tom back to the A team?
Maybe
Matt
actually.
does love a chop and change, but it is playoff season, so you think it would be harsh to drop Stamina now.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like Stamina was probably sat there at home going, yeah, well done, but wait, actually, am I okay here?
Am I gone again?
I mean, this is the only time Loughborough haven't made a mid-series transfer, surely.
Yeah, I think this must be the first time they've had a season.
Be, yeah.
I guess
mean,
Crimson coming in does stable up the roster a little bit.
I guess, but maybe we haven't heard anything of a potential roster move, but it would be very Loughborough. They did change it now.
I think it is an interesting question before we move on, based on the EUR. Obviously, past year, EUR has been dominated by Germany predominantly. I think it was last time there was both German teams in the finals. Then now we've had in the semi-finals like 2 British, 2 German teams, and also obviously the Dutch league began yesterday, I believe it was. We've got other leagues beginning, and some very good teams popping out of nowhere, really. So is this maybe like what we've seen with the nationals of NSE, a sort of renaissance of new good teams who can all challenge for some wins?
Yeah, I mean, I certainly was hoping for it. I'm very much looking forward to full-on EURC season. But at the end of the day, it does. I'm going to hold my horses on that one, because I had a big expectation for Sapienza Roma. I was hoping they could make a really deep run, but I mean, aside from Rotterdam last season, it really still is the sort of English and German dominance. It's like, yeah, Sapienza Roma, I do hope they can challenge, but the fact that they have lost to Berlin Basilisks there doesn't really bode well with me. Maybe they just haven't had that much practice against the sort of European competition, but Lindo and Bongo are perfectly capable players, and I kind of expected. I mean, it's only one series. It's definitely too early to call, but I do worry about a potential sort of monopoly over EURC that England and Germany may have. But there's so much deep competition in the Netherlands. I feel like they should be able to play even more as well. It's just like, I hope we have really diverse and like crazy matchups, but right now I still feel like there's definitely a step up in the English and German competition.
It is also worth noting that I don't think we had any representation from the Polish league as well, which is set up with a fair few teams actually this season. So with the introduction of them, I think they've got players such as Petrick on rosters there. So it will be interesting to see how they fit into the EUR and whereabout they fit into the rankings. But no, I think, like you said, there's, especially in the English scene, but of course that's only because we know about the English scene. We've seen this big increase in strength, and there wasn't the likes of UEA or Orange County or these strong rosters which we were hoping to see in the first cup. So I guess in actual EURC season, we might see the whole picture.
I mean, there really is so many strong Dutch sides. I mean, Artevelde did the bracket on EUR Winter Cup, but they weren't playing with Bram, who, as far as I'm concerned, would be their best player. But, according to, of course, their own MMRs, they've got their 2K player, they've got their 1900. I mean, 20 as well. Sorry, I correct myself that Artevelde are actually Belgium, of course, and I will not get them mixed up. You've got two small countries right next to each other. Artevelde are from Belgium. I'm deeply apologetic. And the Dutch teams, such as 20 and Rotterdam 20, having Hime, another, again, unofficial 2K player, an 1800. Of course, they did manage to successfully beat their own B team, which is certainly a good sign. And Rotterdam now with Kallio, Maxio, and Takarali with a capitalised L, a very cool fancy name. And of course, we're going to see a lot more of these rosters when EURC season hits properly. But the EUR Winter Cups are certainly a really nice taster of the competition, and that tournament was just fantastic, despite the fact that so many teams that could have signed up weren't there. So many teams had internet issues, and the competition wasn't as diverse as it literally could have been. But still, what a tournament it was. So hoping for an even better one in a couple weeks' time. Okay, so the controversy certainly of the week that you may be waiting for comment on. Of course, this happened just following week 4. It involves Bournemouth, and I don't know about you, Hemi, but I was just enjoying my Wednesday afternoon when this cropped up.
Yeah, so for the audience members who may be unaware of the events, I'm sure most of you are very well informed by now. But we had on Wednesday, Twitter user Layla, I believe was a non-University Rocket League player who was also transgender, sent a tweet atting the Bournemouth Esports Society, showing screenshots of Wilbur during a competitive game using transphobic slur, and also alluding to I think there was also a comment on do you also get a period, some other fucked up shit, basically. So following that, we had the Bournemouth Society apologised, and then also a discussion sort of began on some Rocket League's Discord servers. We had people like, they're basically the side who didn't understand why this was such a big deal, which we'll get to in a little sort of second, and then the side who were like, yeah, this was wrong, action needs to be taken. So as of right now, we have bans from both NSE and by extension EUR, and from NUEL we have NSE giving a 3-week ban to Wilbur, meaning he will miss both playoffs and the grand final if Bournemouth get into it, and NUEL have a 6-month ban, which mainly applies to tournaments, since Bournemouth do not play or have not played in the any NUEL season.
I mean, we can talk about the varying lengths of the bans, but I just want to make it clear that I mean, of course, this can be certainly, you can take this as my personal view, as people for some reason didn't really want to see how this could. There were a few people that were like, how is this sort of a big deal? But I'm sorry, but you have to agree that it looks incredibly wrong if a tournament organizer and effectively a community just stands by and does nothing. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, what you allow, you sort of endorse, and that is certainly not the sort of thing that needs to be endorsed. Certainly with a community that just wants to feel safe and just like they're actually welcome there. I'm sorry that we can't really be aware of stuff like that and sort of stand by and do nothing. Whether or not you think the punishment is too minimal or too harsh, there's certainly no way that nothing should have been done about it.
Well, and we think as well, we know that it's sort of insulting, and there's a bit of rage in the online community now. It's sort of inundated with people insulting each other, but it's very easy to insult online without crossing transphobic or homophobic lines. Realistically, it's just something you would never need to resort to.
Definitely. We would like to make an official statement as well on the matters of the how we as a sort of group here consider this. So written down here, it's not very long, but we have we here at the University Rocket League podcast do not condone any such language which is used to belittle and shame anyone for being who they are, as it's sort of the official stance. Obviously that should be applied unanimously throughout the entire community. We struggled to see how this is
yeah. It was kind of almost strange that NUEL do hit with such a crazy sort of 6-month ban, even though of course Bournemouth weren't playing any of their tournaments. But I guess that could change in the future. Of course, maybe people look at that and they're like, oh, NSE only 3 weeks, huh? Like that's too short. But as far as I know, and we can talk to scenarios on this, that is their legislation. That is the rules. They're sticking to it. It's consistent. It's consistently worked, and I feel like it's certainly having the impact where it sort of has to be respected, given that, as we said, Wilbur will miss the championship bracket and potentially even the grand final. But someone we should big up is Madge 10, because we mentioned it last week, but it's even closer now. The Charity Threes tournament this Sunday, right? On the 6th. Are you guys playing? I'll be stuck in the middle of nowhere in Wales, so I'll be struggling. Which is a shame because I won't be able to cast it either. But are you guys playing?
I'm in the middle of nowhere in Wales.
Yeah, but like you live there.
I think I'm gonna definitely try and get into that. I mean, I love charity stuff, so
yeah, exactly. We'll try to sort something out as well with depending on what teams we can get in from Bath. I'm sure we'll probably get 1 or 2 in. See if we can persuade a few more.
Speaking of charity as well, just before we wrap things up, there was Kiz's 24-hour live stream as well. Did you pop in on that, Hemi?
Yeah, I did. He did some Jackbox. I just sort of, excuse me. He did some sort of Jackbox that I sort of jumped in on. I did see him playing a bit of Rock League earlier.
I was going to say, 24 hours of Jackbox have been crazy.
There was definitely a few different games. It wasn't just all that. But it was definitely good to see. I mean, it's been very recent. A lot of different sort of charities have been popping up, and it's good to see Kiz definitely a very good man for doing what he did. I'm unaware of how much he raised. I'll go quickly check while you discuss anything further.
Well, no, it's just nice to see, obviously, with a bit more community outreach, and like as everyone sorts to know each other and support each other, it's nice to see that people are using these opportunities to try and make a difference in what they're passionate about. Obviously, with like Kizza and Madges both being for charity, it's nice to see that people are using the power of our community to try and make an impact.
I do have the information to you. Kizza raised £300 over the 24 hours towards the Cancer Research UK, and we have the story here if we wouldn't mind me sort of reading that. So Kizza is saying he's doing an extra long stream to mark the end of November. He chose the Cancer Research UK charity because cancer has been prevalent in his family, specifically his grandmother on the mother's side, for about 7 years. He says, my nana has been an absolute trooper for the entire time she has had it, going through multiple chemo ops, which can be massively draining. And she's also been a miracle woman, defying odds, and still be as happy as ever, still to this day, despite the current scenario. So that is a very heartwarming story, of course. So congratulations, Kizza. Well done for getting through the 24 hours. I think he did send out a tweet like once he finished. I guess he just passed out after that. I mean, trooper, yeah. But yeah, he did raise £300, so well done to him. And of course, just like people raise money for that, we do have Madge's charity tournament on the weekend for his meningitis, for him remembering correctly.
Yeah, climbing Kilimanjaro, which, as we said, is a small hill last week. Yeah.
I've been to the Brecon Beacons.
That's okay. Maybe we'll have our own 24-hour podcast episode. Who knows? That'd be quite something to see. But that will probably wrap it up for our episode 5. Of course, we wish you the best of luck in Challenger Bracket, and of course those playing in Championship Bracket.
We still have our predictions to make, Steve. Come on.
Of course, the predictions of the Championship Bracket itself we had left until now. I take it we all agree that Lancers are winning despite them not being in the Championship Bracket.
No.
I don't think Lancers would win the 3rd tier bracket.
I'm sorry, what? Excuse me? Did you say something, Hemi? I didn't. Hemi,
I didn't say anything.
No, you didn't say anything. I thought I heard it. I thought I heard.
Oh, I can say something if you want, and that is Lancers are not going to win because they're not in it, and they're also really bad.
Right. Okay. Well, thanks for updating me on that situation. I have a very strange scenario where UEA and Loughborough make it all the way to the grand finals, and Loughborough end up winning. Which seems quite unlikely because we've never had both finalists be from the quarterfinals. Always at least one of them has had a bye. I don't know if you can see that happening or if you just want to disagree with me for another time for the sake of it. You do have Kiel, huh?
I back Bournemouth. Sorry, not Bournemouth, excuse me, Portsmouth. I definitely back Portsmouth over Loughborough, especially since
They do
historically
have, yeah.
Portsmouth do have that sort of hold over them.
Yeah,
Maybe it's mental, maybe it's psycho. Who knows?
Ironically, I actually also have 2 quarterfinal teams making it, and neither Kiel or Bournemouth making it. I think it's going to be Portsmouth beating Loughborough, because Portsmouth haven't lost to Loughborough yet this season.
Yeah,
despite having some other weird results, they seem to just always bring it out the bag. Psycho just hates losing to Matt M, quite clearly. And I think in terms of I think Portsmouth might just have the experience to see off Kiel. Psycho obviously a slightly more experienced player than K3. K3 obviously up and coming, very very talented player. But I think Portsmouth just have this experience in these sorts of playoff games to get the job done. And I think UEA will probably come through on the far side, and I think Portsmouth will take it.
Alright, well, none of us actually have Bournemouth winning there. I mean, I think we all have UEA actually making the run to the finals, right?
Yeah, I think so.
I could see
very
Bournemouth
much
still winning though.
There's very much like sort of ambiguity on the strength of Bournemouth without Wilbur. Obviously, I think you did mention the overall stats. He was up there with Cloud.
Yeah, they were second.
Definitely very much they were second and third together. They are very much an influential. He's very much an influential part of the team. It will be interesting to see how they cope without him. I know they did for 1 week and that didn't go well.
It went okay.
Was the first week of?
They lost to Loughborough in round 3, but that was it really. They were still seemed okay, and they certainly seemed okay in the EUR Winter Cup. I don't know, they could beat UEA and it wouldn't be like a shock, but I do have UEA just taking that in game 7, I think.
I ended up with Kiel and UEA in the grand final. I think Kiel definitely, if they're still sort of riding that sort of high wave from week 4, they definitely can keep this momentum going into the playoffs. And of Kiel and UEA, I don't know. I put it to game 7. I mean, I don't think anyone can say there's a clear winner here, but
I think Kiel have that pop-off ability and UEA are a bit more consistent, so it'll be interesting to see if that situation comes to fruition.
Obviously, the grand finals will happen on just a single day, and that is the 12th of December. So it will be interesting to see whichever team turns up that day. There's no
definitely won't be a LAN. It will be very exciting though. Nearly as exciting as the Challenger playoffs, of course. As of course, Lancers are playing in that and we'll be winning that, so that'll be super exciting. But the Championship playoffs, they're going to be pretty good as well, I think. I'll correct myself this time. That will wrap up our episode 5 of the podcast. So good luck if you are playing today, over the coming days and week or so. Going to be interesting to see what results get thrown our way, and hopefully not too much more controversy, as that was quite a high dosage over the previous week. So hope you're having a great day or evening or morning whenever you're listening to this. Thank you for listening, and we hope to see you next week.
Goodbye.